Good afternoon and welcome to the weekly Nuttle Review. As we continue this conversation together on government policy and programs that we want from the government, I continue to ask, what are the principles on which we're basing our decisions on what we want? Most state legislatures kicked off their sessions in the last couple of weeks, and most states are running a deficit. In other words, they have less to spend this year than they did last year. And with the ongoing problems of increased cost in health care and Obamacare kicking in full force and effect. Now, as we have these discussions, there must be some baseline of, okay, you're going to argue with somebody else about programs, but even the structure of the programs, based upon what is it you want for your adversary or your debater over here on another issue. What is it you want for them that you want as much for yourself? I had some discussions this week with millennials who are roughly 18 years old to 32. And they were quick to point out to me and my generation that we misled them. That we told them that if they would just work hard and do what they were told to do and keep their head down, that everything would be all right. And I said, well, maybe it hasn't worked out that way, so what do you want? And one person said, I want a good education for my children, and I want the right to choose that education. I said, okay, based upon what principle do you have that right? Versus my generation maybe taking more in Social Security than they should, or taking more from the budget now because of the size of the population that they represent. And they said, well, we're off the wrong track, the government's not doing the right thing. I said, no, stop. That's an analysis. That's not a principle. You're now debating from your special interest without telling me what's in it for both of us and what I should do to care about you. And I do, but you've got to come at it from a general principle that binds us rather than just policies that divide us. Now, of all the issues facing the United States today, we've talked about 5 on the New Horizon Council website. And one that emerges that's in the same category. What do you really want when you're debating something like the Prime Minister of Israel speaking to the House of Representatives, the United States Congress, the first week of March, Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, I've traveled in Israel, and I've met the Prime Minister, and I know him to be a good man who cares about his people. He's coming here for the right reasons because he's concerned about deals that we may be cutting with Iran that make no sense for them. And we have a different perspective. We're a long ways away and an ocean between us. He's about 1 minute and 43 seconds away from a missile in that part of the world. Now, recently, go back to millennials, a university in California, a student referendum was circulated that they should divest their investment funds from any company, not invest in any company that has done work or does work with Israel. Now let's think about that a minute. On one of the principles we talk about on the New Horizon Council is foreign policy. What do we want? What is our strategy? But what is our purpose and what are our principles? We talk about 5. Rule of law, due process, free and independent courts, a free press, and transparency. If every country did those things, there'd be equal opportunity in the world. There would be trade, enforcements of contracts, and individual liberty. Now, what country in the Middle East does all 5 of those? Let's think about that a minute. Which one? Israel is the only one. In fact, no other country around them does more than 2 of them. So just on that standard, should we divest from companies that are doing business with another nation state that embraces our principles, besides the spiritual values that some Americans have with Israel? But then they went further. They said, well, we should divest ourselves of any company doing business with the United States of America. Well, that makes a lot of sense. That sure limits a lot of your investments. Let's just look at that from an investment strategy. But let's get back to the principles. Based on what? What country in the world is more open, more tolerant, more accepting of different religions, different backgrounds, and diversity of citizens in the United States of America? I submit to you there isn't one. Now, we've got our problems, but we have got to seek the answers together through the discipline of pursuing principles that bind us, principles that are eternal, that we can all relate to so that we protect each other's liberties. Now, as we discuss these principles together and as we work through them together, I look forward to the conversation. I ask you to go to the website, state your concerns, and let's continue this, because if we don't find a common mission, not only will the United States be jeopardized, so will the entire world. Thank you, and I look forward to further discussions.